Hi, Grizzlies, and welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gizella K, and today we continue to talk about the Idaho case and the suspect, Bryan Kohberger. Yes, that was him rapping, by the way, in the intro. That was his rap, apparently, from SoundCloud. So I saw Inside Edition share it, and I'm like, okay, I think it's real now. We've looked at it before here twice on this channel. Yes. And quickly, let me answer Big Bake on the Move. I sent you a reply to your last comment. My email is grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. So if you want to email me something to link or whatever, that'll be great. Okay, so today we have a lot to talk about. And as you can see, the subject line for today is, could Bryan Kohberger have had help? Now, I've been thinking about a lot of things. I was on Popcorn Planet the other day, about 2 days ago. And there, I actually found myself expressing more of my opinion than I do on this channel because I was just like, yeah, I know this is the fact that they say suspect vehicle one. It could just be normal legal language, but suspect vehicle one, not just suspect vehicle. I'm like, well, is there a suspect vehicle two or more? That got me thinking. And then I started thinking about, I went over the probable cause affidavit probably for the 10th time. And I was just thinking, the car, the Elantra, arriving in the area at 4:04 a.m. and speeding away at 4:20. Man, 16 minutes. It's possible, but I'm like, could he have had help though? Because they also say that the murders they believe occurred between 4 and 4:25. So that could just be a general window. But I'm like, could it be though? Because we can't just rule that out. We can't say no definitively, absolutely not. He worked alone. I know that the Moscow PD, they said they believe he did this alone. But law enforcement can change their minds, like with the Elantra, a 2011 to 2013 model. Oh, it's actually a 2015 model. You know what I mean? Things like that. And they actually knew that from November 29th. So there was this one time a month ago where I had looked deeply into this SWAT team situation, if you guys remember that. Okay. I looked into the situation that happened in Pullman, Washington. If you don't know anything about it, don't worry, we're going to go over it. But I was very interested in that because I'm like, what kind of roommate? What is it connected at all? This roommate, this guy had two roommates. He was threatening them. And it's so close to where Bryan Kohberger lives now that we know. We didn't know that then. Unfortunately, a name and a face was released and it wasn't that person, but that SWAT team situation has never stopped intriguing me. I check on it all the time. And yes, they released his name. The guy who was actually shot, his background, and all of that. Now I'm even more intrigued, and you'll see why. You'll see why. Hope I'm making sense. Okay, everyone, do I have to slow it down at all? Are we good? Okay, I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit. Sorry, I'm like, what? Hold on 1 second, everyone. There's lots of people here. Thank you for being here on your Saturday. I really appreciate it. I've been thinking about this for a while, so I appreciate that you're here to hear my thoughts and to share your thoughts as well. Now, we have tons to work through, okay? So what I'm going to start with is this. Okay, firstly, my thumbnail, you saw it says, did you arrest anyone else? Remember that was Bryan Kohberger's first question when he was arrested. Did you arrest anyone else? Now, as I've speculated before, that could just be him being clever and trying to be like a Gacy, like John Wayne Gacy, and be like, did you arrest the others? Anyone else? But it was interesting. If we look at it with a fresh pair of eyes as well, Now, with the language on the probable cause, affidavit, and all the latest documents we've read as well, from the other day, right? The Idaho murder suspect, Bryan Kohberger, requests info on mystery co-defendant as next hearing is set for June. Now, this co-defendant language is standard legal terminology in the context that it was. We looked at that, I think, yesterday or the day before, right? So go check that out when he had his hearing. Thank you, Patricia. Who was with him when he bought the collector knife? Yep, that's one of those questions. Oh, yes. So let's just look at this, right? They say Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger requests info on mystery co-defendant as next hearing set for June. Now, the thing is with him asking, did you arrest anyone else? Interesting. And number two, his confidence in, I'm eager to be exonerated. His knowledge on criminal justice. As I say, when I was on Popcorn Planet, I was on the side, which was in the minority in that chat, of like, I don't think this guy's as dumb as people think he is. They're like, oh, he made so many stupid mistakes. But like, did he though? He could have. Oh man, I just worry. I worry about this case and the trial and everything. I worry that There's a couple of, as they say, holes in the PCA. Of course, there will be holes in the probable cause affidavit. Obviously, that's just the bare minimum to get him arrested. But man, I've been thinking. Coffee Cake says two things. What time was the gas station video? Apparently at 3:45 a.m. Also, did he get a stay in place notification for the WSU SWAT team incident? Thank you. The apartment block did. WSU did. But was he perhaps on his way already with his dad? Yup. If you look at the timeline. Very interesting, okay? So. Yes. Jerry says, so what if he blames it on the guy that is dead? Exactly. That's what we're going. We're going that way. Okay, so let's just look at this. They say Bryan Kohberger briefly appeared in court on Thursday where he waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. Bryan Kohberger briefly appeared in court on Thursday, okay? This means that the Washington State University PhD student who's accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in the early morning hours of November 13th will not appear in a courtroom again until June 26th. Kohberger and his defense team also filed a request for discovery this week, asking, among other things, for information about a co-defendant in the case. The probable cause affidavit does not identify a co-defendant, and authorities have not suggested that Kohberger may have had an accomplice when he allegedly murdered Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Inside Edition previously reported that Kohberger did ask members of law enforcement if they had arrested another individual in connection with these murders after he was taken into custody last month. In the court filings submitted by his public defender, Ann Taylor, Kohberger requested any written or recorded statements by a co-defendant and the substance of any relevant oral statement made by a co-defendant, whether before or after arrest, in response to interrogation by any person known by the co-defendant to be a peace officer or agent of the prosecuting attorney, or which are otherwise relevant to the offense charged. Do you want to stick around for this whole episode, okay? You don't want to miss it so that you get the whole train of thought. Shelley asked, did he plan this to be caught so he could get out of it, experiment on how to be acquitted of a crime? Could be, could be. All right, so here's a few of his additional requests, which we've also gone over. He wants to know about drug tests. Provide a copy of all documentation generated as a result of performed drug tests by the state and agents for drug identification purposes, including types of testing performed in this case, the testing procedures. Okay, he wants to know all of that. The reagents and or solvents used in testing, comparative analysis performed, and number of experiments performed in each test. To provide to the defendant all documents pertaining to the existence and substance of any payments, promises of leniency, preferential treatment, or other inducements or threats made to prospective witnesses. Thank you so much. Disclosure of the defendant, the status as an aggrieved person as defined by the Code of USC, if applicable, and copies of all records and recordings related to all electronic surveillance and set forth in writing the circumstances thereof. And disclosure whether a defendant or any other person was identified by lineup, show up, photo spread, or similar identification proceeding relating to the offense charged, and production of any pictures utilized or resulting therefrom, and the names. My point is that he's like, yeah, okay, bring it. What drug test did you do? What lineups did you do? Who else was it? You know, the defense team. Like, damn. The last request is notable because the probable cause affidavit claims that a roommate saw an individual leave the house right around the time of the murders. Okay, so I'm just going to finish reading this one little part here, and then we're going to carry on and deep dive, layer by layer, as we do. The affidavit claims that the killer walked right by another roommate living in the home, but spared her life. DM stated she opened a door for the third time after she heard the crying, and they saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. DM described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows, reads the affidavit. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the male. The affidavit does not mention anything about that roommate identifying Kohberger as the individual that she saw that night. There's also little information regarding motive in the initial court filings that have been made public, and the details of the actual crime have been redacted from the probable cause affidavit. The affidavit does allege, however, that Kohberger, 28, may have been stalking his victims for months before their deaths, based on the proximity of his cell phone to the victim's home. A public defender assigned to Kohberger's case after his arrest in Pennsylvania said that his client is innocent of the charges that have been filed against him. Prosecutors in Kohberger will now have 5 months to build their case before they are due back in court this summer. And Kohberger will remain behind bars without bail until that hearing. Now, let's have a look at this. There's so much to look at today. Just hang in there. I want to tell you, let's get to the point of this. It would be not that one. Not that we've got so much here. Okay. This situation has got me thinking. So we're getting to the point of the episode now where it's very, very speculative. Okay. So my speculation would be either that he would pin it on this person or that this person would be an accomplice or maybe his experiment. Maybe they met through his little online survey, when he asked about what it felt like and all this kind of stuff. You just don't know. But man, the connections start getting stronger and stronger. Did he wrongo? Peter Tragos, the lawyer, mentioned you in yesterday's live. Well, he's going to be on the show on Tuesday. So that's very exciting. This stream will lead you to that one. Peter Tragos from the lawyer, will be on the show. Yes. For everyone that's been emailing me and asking, can you get him on the show? Yes, he's going to be here with us. Okay. Now, look at this. If you don't remember this, SWAT team member who fired fatal shot during Pullman standoff identified. Okay, so that's the SWAT team member. So let's go to the actual incident. A Pullman man was killed during a SWAT standoff with a U.S. Army veteran. Now, you got to follow me on this one. You got to stay here for at least another, 15 minutes. If you got to go, just tune back in, okay? This replay, I'm just like, it's like, listen to this. Authorities have identified the Pullman man who was killed by a Whitman County Regional SWAT team member during a standoff on December 15th, 2022, as Brent Lee Kopacka. According to his family, Kopacka was a U.S. Army veteran who was awarded the Purple Heart. His obituary indicates that Kopacka was a paratrooper and sustained a traumatic brain injury in combat while serving in Operation Enduring Freedom, in Afghanistan from 2005 to 2009. PT, thank you. Fury and the PA. His family wrote that those who knew Brent knew him as a loving, caring, and very loyal friend. All right? So, over the course of the past 16 years, Brent fought the courageous battle against PTSD, but in the end, he couldn't break free. They said in his obituary. We can read the full dedication after this. They say, please learn all you can about PTSD so you'll have an understanding of the toll it takes on our veterans, their families, and their friends. Make sure your loved ones seek the help that they need. Okay, and they give a little helpline there and everything as well. I'm going to pin all these articles for you in the comments afterwards. Very interesting. So if I go to the situation, where is it? This one. Okay, I'll play that video afterwards. Thank you so much, Tom. One dead after SWAT standoff in Pullman. Now, remember when Bryan Kohberger and his dad drove, from Pullman, Washington, all the way to Pennsylvania. That was on December 15th. Okay, I see these rumors starting to brew, but I've been thinking about this for a while. Okay, I'm like, damn, it's on the same day. Like this happened early morning hours, 3:05 a.m. An alert was sent out on December 15th. So if Bryan Kohberger knew this person, or for whatever reason, he got in that car with his dad and they went. And they were stopped in Indiana with that body cam footage on December 15th. Twice. The twice that they were stopped, what did they bring up out of nowhere? This event right here. That is not only before we even knew who the suspect was, this whole situation has always been very interesting to me. Like, what the hell happened there? And even though the police are like, no, it's not related. Don't worry. It's not that guy that you thought it was. No, it's cool. It's chilled. Like, okay. But then also the search warrant is sealed now, for Bryan Kohberger's apartment. And it's very close. Well, look at the maps and everything. It's very close to this. And if you follow the probable cause affidavit and all that Maptime, like my word, you could have picked this guy up My goodness. Like the phone pings and all that. I'm like, damn, it's really interesting. Okay, it gets interesting. You don't often see me speculate in cases, but for me personally, I've been watching this brewing for a while. I've talked about it before and then I put it to rest and now I'm like, oh my word, but wait for it. Okay, so they say a SWAT team in Pullman shot and killed a man during an armed standoff that lasted into Thursday morning after he threatened to kill his roommates. Now, why would someone threaten to kill their roommates? Like suddenly be like, that's it. You know, it could be, yes, PTSD, but what triggers that? What is that? Okay. Someone says Bryan and Dad left on the 12th, but the thing is, we don't know that. We only know they were on the 15th in Indiana. We know that on the 13th, they were in Colorado. Okay. So either way, even if he left on the 12th, BCK was a jogger. That's true. That's true. Even if they left on the 12th and then went to Loma, Colorado, and then headed eastward towards Pennsylvania and was stopped on the 15th, even if this happened on the 15th, and it still could be in some way that Bryan left and this happened. Let's say it's unrelated. There's so many possibilities. Let's say this is unrelated. Bryan could still pin this somehow in his case on this guy, depending on, what he planned and all that. So we just got to think about it. We got to have an open mind on this one today. Okay. Always an open mind. But today I'm like really speculating. I'm like, wait. Okay, so they say a SWAT team in Pullman shot and killed a man during an armed standoff that lasted into Thursday morning after he threatened to kill his roommates, according to a news release from the Pullman Police Department. Police responded to a call for a weapons offense at about 8:40 p.m. on Wednesday on the 1000 block of Latah Street, near the Washington State University campus, according to the release. The man, who has not been identified, was in his 30s, police said. Now, remember, when Bryan and his dad were stopped and they asked, how long have you been driving? They said hours. They said days or hours, and they said hours. That's why I'm speculating that they actually left on the 15th, okay? Because they said hours and hours, not days. So, the man barricaded himself in his apartment after Pullman police officers attempted to speak with him, police said. The man later fired a gun from his apartment after crisis negotiators from the Pullman Police Department and the Whitman County Regional SWAT Team arrived, police said. The WSU asked students and nearby residents to shelter in place in an alert sent at about 3:05 a.m. After unsuccessful negotiations, escalating behavior, and continued danger to the public and officers, the male was shot by a member of the Whitman County Regional SWAT Team, the police said. After trying to use lethal force, officers fired at the man, and this was at 3:58 a.m., according to a Washington State Patrol news release. The situation was cleared at about 4:30 a.m., according to a WSU alert on Facebook. The man died at the scene, and no officers were injured, WSP said. The Palouse area Law Enforcement Critical Incident Response Team is investigating the shooting. WSP is leading the investigation. The shooting does not appear to have any connection to the killings of the 4 University of Idaho students in Moscow in November. That's what WSP said in a tweet. It does not appear to, but it's still being investigated, as is, of course, the Idaho case, right? Now, where it got interesting for me, that's not enough for me, right? To be like, okay, well, is it or isn't it? Could it be or couldn't it be? For me, what's interesting is, of course, the K-bar knife, and then someone in the army. I know it's normally a Marine knife, but I know you can buy it at any store, just about. But I'm like, someone with PTSD and military training and all that works as a parent security guard and apparently also in IT at WSU. And then we've got Bryan Kohberger doing his PhD there that also worked in security part-time before. So we don't know if he befriended security guards or if he was over-friendly or what, right? That's all very interesting. But what gets even more interesting is Bryan Kohberger's drive like this. And we'll get more into it. I hope it will make sense. Firstly. Oh, where'd I go? Firstly, Kohberger lived at the Steptoe Apartments. Okay, that's what we know. This guy lived at the Coffee House Apartments. If you follow the probable cause affidavit, they say how it appears that Bryan was driving that November 13th early morning hours, right? And it's all along here like this. And they mention this Nevada Avenue, Southeast Nevada Street. But this guy lives right here. Like, could like literally pick this guy up if he wanted to. Let's say, what if they were friends? What if they knew each other? We don't know that. But either way, look how close this guy lives to this 270. You know what I mean? So close. So let's say if he picked him up and he's like, let's go. There's all of that, right? We're going there. And what really got me going is the time frame. Also, for everyone in the chat, could we drop the whole thing of the dad being involved? That's definitely not where I'm going with this. That is not my theory. I'm not blaming family, okay? You can have your theory, but please can we just tone that down and could you just pay attention, right? So you got to follow. If you just like the dad, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss it, okay? My point is, look how close they live to each other. Bryan previously worked as a security guard, part-time. This guy allegedly worked as a security guard at WSU. Some are saying there's a call in from the Drunk Turkey show that said working in IT. Now that I'm not sure of, and it's still interesting based on this program, which Bryan was not part of. That's what Fox News Now said. But this CSI program at WSU, we'll get more into this, so don't get lost now, where they can monitor police body cams and all kinds of footage, like access live footage and things like that, right? Okay. So the thing is, we're following. What's interesting to me is the time frame of the Elantra going round and round, doing 3 loops and then entering the area at 4:04 and speeding away at 4:20. And they call it suspect vehicle 1. That always makes me think, well, is there a suspect vehicle 2? That's what immediately makes me think. But from 4:04, the car arrives, according to the PCA, arrives in the area of 1122 King Road for the 4th time, arrives, okay? That means that, and they believe it's Bryan driving the car. That means he has to park, get out, sneak into the house, and murder 4 people in less than 15 minutes? Damn. Now, is it possible? Sure. But it does also leave the possibility for the Elantra just being a getaway car, for example. It leaves the possibility for another vehicle being there and 2 people being in that house, for example, and the one already being in the house. You see? Could be that as well, Tom. Could be that. Could be. Yeah, it could be that one takes care of 3 and the other one goes for the target. We just don't know. But now it gets even. I've got more to show you. Let me show you this one thing, okay? Remember that after the murders, according to the probable cause affidavit, Kohberger took this route, okay? He went from 112 to King Road, southward to this Cluss Road type area, Colton, Busby, Steptoe Apartments. What am I basing that on? Literally the points that they plotted, the little map that they plotted on the probable cause affidavit, okay? Thank you, Tom. Yes, everyone subscribe and smash that like button. Okay, so this is the route he did. Remember, he went from here, he went from Steptoe Apartment to King Road, then did this entire loop back to the apartments, back to the house, back to the apartment, and then took another trip, okay? And that other trip takes us all the way to Lewiston, Clarkson. Wait, they talked about this Kate's Cup of Joe, and the Albertsons and all that, right? Clarkston? Yes? We're following. Now, guess where that guy's whole family lives? Here, in this area. That's what really got me. I'm like, sorry, what now? So, again, I could be completely wrong. This could be way off. It could be completely unrelated. But for me, I can already see now, again, this is starting to pick up on these, like, Idaho groups on Facebook. Okay. And I'm like, oh, okay. So people are back to that SWAT team situation. Let's look more into this because I've already been looking into it. But for me, whoa, the fact that they live so close here to each other and the security guard thing and all that. Okay. Also, I'm not freaking out, but there's like a huge bee or wasp on my light. Yes, and also, just letting you guys know, disclaimer, I'm not blaming a Purple Heart vet for murders. I'm wondering if Bryan Kohberger would pin this on anyone. I'm wondering if that's why he leaves that knife sheath like that. I'm trying not to be distracted by this bee. I'm allergic to bees. Just hold on. You stay there, bee. You behave yourself. Okay, so for me, the fact that they live so close, the fact that the guy has PTSD means someone predatory could even take advantage of the guy with the PTSD. There are speculations already saying that he was easily influenced, that people could tell him what to do. He's great at following orders because of all the army training, because of the PTSD. Now, if someone's studying minds and, I don't know, manipulating people, you don't know. You don't know how they know each other if they do. I'm going to show you something else, right? But I found it very interesting. Oh, it's in Lewiston. This Lewiston here. This area is where that guy's entire family lives. And you know where else they live? Colorado. And Bryan went to Colorado. His car was seen there on December 13th. Dawn says, has anyone ever verified what Maddie told Adam? Yes, the family did. They are on a documentary on Chronicles of Olivia, and they said that Maddie was telling Adam, about the relationship with Kaylee and Jack. Yeah, that bee is so big. Oh my gosh. I wonder if I should call Mr. Grizzly. Okay, I'm trying to focus. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. This guy's whole family lives in Lewiston. Okay, why is he going there? Why is Bryan Kohberger or the Elantra going there? Interesting, right? So there's all of that. It is, right? It's quite a set of coincidences that guy, because I did a whole background check. He worked apparently in security. His whole family lives in Lewiston, and that's where Bryan goes right afterwards. Damn. Okay, let me just quickly type to Mr. Grizzly. Okay. Yeah, you're like, take a break, call Mr. G. I'm okay, I'm focused. That thing must just stay on those lights. I'm telling you, that guy, the speed is the size of my thumb, just about. It's huge. I don't know what it is. Okay, focus. So, let me show you something else. Let's go to, is it this one? Oh, yeah. Wait. We got to go to this. So, this really piqued my interest here. Okay, this is, yeah, it might be a hornet. I know, right? I've never seen anything like this. And again, sorry about that. Okay. They say this. This is on a group on Facebook. So again, take this with a grain of salt, okay? I'm posting anonymously because Bryan is my family, and you people in this group act like vultures and rabid raccoons. Bryan is innocent, and you will see he has been framed by his drug partner friend, the security guard from the university. You see that? I'm like, oh, damn. Everything, all the pieces are starting to come together in my mind. I don't know. I could be wrong. Again, I'm going to keep saying that. Then, they were doing drugs together in the parking lot, as they had done numerous times. But when security guards started acting like a peeping Tom outside the girl's window, Bryan left the security guard and drove back to his apartment. The reason the phone was off is because the battery was flat and the security guard was using the car charger. Bryan put his phone on charge when he left the parking lot, and he switched it back on when he was near to his apartment because that's how long it took to get the charge going. Bryan's knife was in the car, and the security guard was holding it because he had used it to chop the cocaine lines. Yes, I said cocaine because Bryan stopped heroin years back and substituted the drug with cocaine. Now, I don't know. That sounds like very opposite drugs to me. Like one's an upper, one's a downer, just from the little I know. He's tried so hard to stop everything, but he's an addict and has had bad migraines. Well, this we know from the visual snow stuff, right? Okay. So the cocaine actually helps him. He had no idea security guard was going to do what he did, and he just wanted to teach the security guard a lesson by leaving him behind. Bryan actually feels terrible that he left this maniac behind, but it's not his fault. You people need to stop with these singing videos and funny pictures of Bryan and my dad, or we'll sue you for everything you have. All of you, just get a life and stop playing Facebook detectives because you are just a bunch of bored losers that have no morals. Huh? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy this. Take it with a grain of salt. But this is like a tiny piece that just is already what we've pieced, right? There's the PCA, the probable cause affidavit. There's a steptoe apartment. There's a SWAT team situation. And they're still not saying what was in that guy's apartment. What was that situation about? And then Bryan, on top of that, him and his dad are mentioning that SWAT team situation twice on police stops. That's interesting. And then you find that that guy, like his whole family's in Lewiston, and he's also got family in Colorado. Weird. Very weird. Okay, now listen to this. It would be. Wait. We've got to follow this guy now. Probably got to make this full screen.
WSU. Bryan Kohberger are about to pin this on someone that he knows or someone that he met from WSU. So allegedly, when Bryan bought a knife, he was with someone.
Okay, I'm pausing it there. It says, it's legit. You can see my Facebook Marketplace account. I've been selling for years. He drove from PA to get this knife for $350. It's rare and discontinued knife, meant for cutting skin. From what I remember, the dude was nice. He was with another guy who sat in the car. Flipped open the knife. I told him you can use a zip tie as an immersion wave for it. He paid me the money and drove off. This was October. Okay?
And when that person's name got out, people started to post about him.
I present to you, that would be the Kopacka guy, the man who was with Bryan during the knife purchase and who was killed by the SWAT December 15th, 2022. Okay, I don't have much more info that I could share on this device. I'm off to traverse the other side to see if it's better. It's been an honor.
Now, unfortunately, that person passed away on the 15th of December in a shootout at WSU, which just so happens to be the same day that Bryan and his dad left to go home. As when they were pulled over, in body cam footage, his dad said this.
Well, we're coming from WSU. That is SWAT team and everything.
Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or
There was a mass shooting and everything.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
No, this happened was because they did shoot somebody.
I see.
And then we don't know about that actually. They were there with shooting out of the window or something.
Interesting.
Let me just pause it there for a second. So KKC says the public defender can prove reasonable doubt with other two same MO slayings as students in 2020 and 2021. And the problem is that this guy that I'm talking about, he also I think he comes from Portland, Oregon. Yeah. Like before the army time, from what I looked at his background check. So we've got Portland, Oregon, where those other unsolved murders happen. And I'm not trying to pin the murders on him. I'm just saying. I'm looking at all these coincidences. So he's from Portland, Oregon, with family in Colorado and in Lewiston. Wow, okay. And he's a security guard with PTSD, and there's a SWAT team situation to the point where he just will not cooperate with law enforcement and was shot, right? Just saying. That could just be PTSD. And I'm very sorry to his family for his loss. I'm just looking at the possibility of why is Bryan Kohberger so confident of I'm eager to get exonerated? What is that all about? Okay.
Now, apparently this is someone that Bryan knows. So if it was his friend and the person that he went to go collect this knife with from Facebook, shouldn't he have some like reaction or emotional effect to the fact that his friend has just passed away?
Okay, wait. I've got to probably pause it there. This we saw. Wait. Okay. So again, this is all speculation. And normally this kind of stuff, I guess I would do with members and patrons, but I thought to bring it to you guys today and see what you think. I want to hear your thoughts, okay? Raven says, I've wondered if Bryan was in Moscow to buy drugs 12 times and not stalking the girls. I wonder too. I wonder. Thank you for that. Yes, and where the wind blows says he's blaming someone else from the start, his master plan. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think that this guy's as dumb as we think he is. I'm a little worried, as I said. So I'm just thinking a little bit like, well, how would he try to get away with this, right? No, Vanderchimp, the giant bee is not gone. I've asked Mr. Grizzly to help, and he's not here yet. Okay, so he says, dude, I really have no idea. I know he's cold-blooded, though. I'm serious. If I was a millionaire, I would have hired him to be a personal bodyguard. This guy would not hesitate to kill someone. In fact, I think he enjoyed it. I don't want to incriminate myself, Brent, or any others, but during our deployment, certain people had absolutely no remorse and never reflected on the carnage we caused when we got back home. In fact, if given a chance to go do it again, they would. So this is someone talking about this other guy, right? Hold on one second, you guys. Sorry, we're looking at the bee. Sorry for the pause, everyone. We're trying to sort out this bee situation. Okay, so here they say, now this is just speculation, and I don't know if he actually killed anyone in Idaho, but I would say he would kill 1,000 people if he was told to without blinking an eyeball. This is someone that knew him from the army, right? Apparently. He was a good order follower, and I think that's why he could never hang up his rifle. When he was prepping to get out of the military, he was already trying to find out similar careers. I just don't know how he ended up in Pullman, Washington, of all places. Okay, so that's interesting as well. Okay, sorry, I don't know what the sound is. He's going to close the door now, sorry. Okay, so are we following? There's no sound here. They say Bryan Kohberger search warrants sealed to prevent serious and imminent threat. For security reasons, case information for State versus Kohberger is momentarily unavailable due to the iCourt portal. Okay, so there's that. And then we carry on there. Okay, the bee's out, you guys.
Here's what Brian's dad's referring to in the body cam footage. But here's...
This is bizarre. Bryan and his dad, during his first traffic stop in Indiana, are discussing leaving his apartment and headed for Pennsylvania. The stop was on December 15th. Bryan and his dad mentioned that they left due to a shooting at Washington State University. I looked up the article, and this is bizarre. In the evening of December 14th, 2022, this Kopacka guy, age 36, Army vet with PTSD, barricaded himself and his roommates at his apartment in the 1000 block of Southeast Latah Street in Pullman, Washington. A SWAT team was called, and a 7-hour standoff occurred during which this person was threatening to kill his roommates. Tragically, he began firing shots outside his window at officers, and a SWAT team officer shot and killed him. Here's where it gets nuts. During that time that the apartment was barricaded, the apartment was evacuated. This is the moment that Bryan and his dad took off in his car, headed across the country for their trip together, right? I'm going to just read this quickly.
It gets nuts. During that time, was barricaded in his apartment. The apartment was evacuated. This is the moment Bryan and his dad took off in the car, headed on their cross-country trip together. So that's got me thinking. Is Bryan about to say that he was with a friend in that back car park, and the friend had his charger, and that's why his phone was off?
And that's what this guy's speculating. But that's what this family member's now saying on Facebook too. You got to connect it all for this to even make sense. Decor 8 says, remember you wondered if they were connected? I know, right? I was there on December 16th talking about this. Just like, what if those two things are connected? Like, who is that person? That's all I wanted to know. Who was the person who was threatening to kill their roommates that was then in a SWAT team situation and was shot? Who was that? And then we got the wrong name for a second there of like, who was that? The name I initially got was someone who ran the IT system at the University of Idaho. And ironically, that IT system was down the day of the murders, right? This guy is a TikTok guy, okay? You've got his handle there at the bottom. So I'm just showing you an example. I'm showing you this video as an example of everything I'm piecing together, okay? So let's carry on. They did apparently plan it. That's what they say. That's what they say. We know that they had a planned trip home. I'm not sure for exactly which date or if they left sooner than they wanted to or whatever it was. Just yell boobies and they will fly off.
He left that friend, and when he left that friend went into the house and did what happened that night. And that the reason his phone turned back on was because that's how long it took to charge while he was in the car on the way back to Pullman. Is that why there's a gag order?
We're going to look at more things. Just hold on. We looked at that already.
To stop a theory like that, tainting the jury that it wasn't Bryan and it was someone else, so that he gets away with it, let out, and is able to do something like this again.
Imagine it. Okay, now I put the lawyer, you know, up here. I put this up here for you guys because he's going to be on the show on Tuesday. This week, Tuesday, okay? At 2 p.m. Eastern time. All right. So for those of you that are like, no, man, that's just like, what is going on here? It's not about these little like Facebook. It's just that they're starting to get on the same page. this whole SWAT team situation I've been following since it happened, right? December 15th. I saw the article on December 16th and I'm like, what is that? What happened there? And then, as I say, when I started looking at the map, it just was very interesting to me of how everything they talk about the Elantra, the fact that they say suspect vehicle 1, the fact that now people are coming forward saying that guy was a security guard and a drug user, and then there's friends coming forward saying that Bryan was also one. There's just a lot of overlaps and coincidences at the moment. We haven't looked at that yet. I will look at that. You guys are so excited for the lawyer, you know. Okay. And so, even this of how close they lived and where the cameras picked Bryan up from, it's all the way along here as well. So it's only from here, you know, and his phone, when he left initially, being turned off around here. I just find it interesting. Okay, now I'm overheating from the stress of the bee. So just let me take my jacket off. Okay. It's strange. So for those of you, there's going to be a percentage who'll say, this is absolute BS, Gisela. I can't believe you went there. I can't believe it. Well, I've been thinking it for a long time, and you must follow the probable cause affidavit. Go and read it again for yourself, map it out for yourself, and you decide for yourself. I'm not trying to convince you here. I'm just sharing with you what I thought, okay? So there's that. But then they say, Idaho murders Bryan Kohberger's former friend speaks out on social media, alleged drug use. So here's another friend. Do we have another friend talking here? We love this guy as well. Hey, wait. Muted. Unmute.
Someone who knew him, the suspect personally, Rich Pasqua. You worked with him for a period of time. Rich, what can you tell me about the suspect? What was he like?
He was just your average guy. I met him through some friends, and they told me that he was a little weird, and he was a little socially awkward, I guess you could say. But he wasn't a bad guy. He needed a job, so
Rich,
I worked at a pizza shop at that time, and they were hiring. I said, yeah, come on in and apply, and he did, and he got the job. So I worked with him for a little bit. But he was quiet, though.
What
He
was
didn't ever come off
conversation like with
violent
him?
What was that?
What was conversation like with him? Like when you talk with him at work, would he look you in your eyes? Did he have friends? Did he have a girlfriend at the time?
It was so long ago. It was like 2013, but he didn't have a girlfriend. I do remember that. And my wife went to school with him. They graduated together, and she doesn't remember him ever having a girlfriend, and I don't remember him ever having a girlfriend. And he didn't have many friends, so he would do anything to fit in, and would do he just wanted to be liked by everybody. But he wasn't a bad kid. He was all right. And I knew his sister. I went to school with his sister, and I knew his father worked for the school, and I believe his mother did too. But it's
Okay, so we're seeing more and more people come forward as well. Also, Joe Lynn Lindsay says, as a veteran myself, unlikely. A sheath from a different branch of service will be used by another branch of service member or vet. Forgive the caps, important thought. Now, that is true, unless Bryan Kohberger planted it. You know, that could also, he could be setting this guy up completely, you know? That's what I'm worried about. The setup is what I'm worried about, especially if he knew him, befriended him, whatever it was, influenced him in some way. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm so worried, especially of how confident he is of eager to be exonerated. Not I'm innocent or anything. Just oh, did you arrest anyone else? Oh yeah, I'm eager to be exonerated. And then those traffic stops talking about the shootout and just all these people coming forward, like this guy here. So let's continue to listen here. I just think I should boost it a little bit. It's a little bit soft for me. I don't know if it is for you. So let's boost the sound. Grizzly boost is on.
his family. They were all nice people. And, his dad was always really nice to me, very polite. But I never thought that he would do something like that.
Good copy. So we've heard from some people that surrounded him that there may have been drug use in his life prior as well. Did you know him to use drugs?
So this would be another friend talking about drug use. Sorry for pausing. Mike says, do they know each other or is that speculation? It's speculation. But what's interesting is that they're both around WSU, and apparently And both of them have the initials BK, by the way. You know, I know it's Bryan's BCK, but this one is BK and that one's BK. So there's two BKs. Bryan Kohberger was a security guard before, part-time. So we don't know if he was doing that part-time, for instance, at WSU. And apparently this guy that was shot in the SWAT team situation was also a security guard and working in IT at WSU. Now that's going to get interesting when we think about Bryan's graduate program having access to all those live cameras and things and body cams and things like that. Interesting. And they say he wasn't actually involved in the program, but what if he made friends with this guy and that guy had access to that? You know what I mean? Thank you, Michelle. I love how intelligently open-minded you are. I'm a former paralegal of a judge, prosecution, and criminal defense. Damn. Nice to have you here. So you see, my point is, I'm thinking of Bryan's defense. I'm thinking, oh crap, like obviously we know that cell phone pings, they're not that accurate. That's very easy to disprove in court just by saying it's inaccurate. If you look at the probable cause affidavit yourself, we can look at it again a little bit. They say on November 14th, his phone pinged in Moscow, but they do not believe he was in Moscow. Now, I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean. Did his phone go without him? Did the Elantra not go there? You know what I mean? November 14th. Okay. This SWAT team thing happened December 15th. And then suddenly he's like gunning it to Pennsylvania. It's just weird. It's all the weird timing. And then I thought, what is he doing in Lewiston? But then to figure out that this guy, from doing a deep dive background check, oh, damn, that other guy, the SWAT team dude, you know, that was shot. Whoa, like his whole family lives in Lewiston? Damn, that was just interesting. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. So, yes, Robin says it's a very strange coincidence. WSU and Moscow U of I are not known to have such tragic events. Both are very rural college towns. That's the other thing. You graduated there. Yes. Two really rare circumstances too, right? So, yes, and Caroline says, blame the dead guy. Signs of desperate defense. Right? But they could go there. That's what I'm worried about. Whether the guy is involved in any way or not. I don't want to say that he is. I'm just like, I think that his mental health was vulnerable, as in the other guy, the SWAT team guy, the other BK, both of them BK. And I'm worried about this guy, the little criminal mastermind, taking advantage of that guy. You know what I mean? Especially befriending him, being so chatty, being like, oh, security, me too. Oh, you got access to those IT systems. Cool. I'm a PhD student. Let's hang out. And all that. Okay, so let's continue listening to this.
Drugs or anything like that, sir?
Yeah, he did use drugs. That's how I really know him too. He was a big heroin addict, and so was I. I got 6 years clean now. I work in treatment and everything, but back then I was using, and so that's how I know for a fact he was using. I've got high with him a couple times and used with him, and I remember one night we went out and his car broke down, and his dad had to come out, and he got pretty angry. Well, because his car broke down and everything, and we couldn't get what we needed that night. And you know, I knew other people that dealt drugs, and we would deliver drugs to him a lot. And so that's when I heard about this case. I haven't heard from him in so long. And then I heard about this, and it said that he was going to college. I said, I haven't heard from him. I guess that's what he's been doing. He must have cleaned up. I know he was in and out of rehab a couple times, but he really did. He cleaned up and was going to college all these years.
Rich, I'm short on time, but I got to ask you one last question. We've heard from people that he had a track record of being inappropriate, borderline offensive to women. Did you ever see that in any of your interactions with him and interactions with women?
Not in my time knowing him. I've never seen him ever act like that towards women. I've never seen him come off that way ever towards anybody.
Yeah. Rich, thank you so much for joining the program. I'm sorry I'm short on.
Okay, so we've got that. We've got that. Jeff is like, this is total clickbait. No, not if you're following my thought process. Did you just get here? I hope you catch up. Watch the replay. Okay, so we've looked at this. I just want to see, did I pin it twice? No. Here they say, Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger requests drug testing results from prosecutors. We looked at this a little bit before from the previous article, right? Bryan Kohberger wants all drug tests as well as types of testing performed in this case, testing procedures, reagents and or solvents used in testing, comparative analysis performed, and number of experiments performed in each test. Okay, he's asking for all that. Then Bryan Kohberger's former friend speaks out on social behavior, alleged drug use. So there's that as well. And then there's this family member alleged, on Facebook saying that he's innocent and it's the drug dealer friend or whatever. So there's all this stuff coming out. You just got to piece it together if you're going to go on this train of thought. Okay. And it's speculation today, speculation time on a Saturday. Okay. Speculation Saturday for today. Everything we know about the Idaho murder suspect. This is where he said, literally, when arrested, after being taken into custody, the suspect asked if anyone else was arrested. News Nation correspondent Brian Inton said in a Twitter post. Of course, as I speculated, that could be him being a wise ass and being like John Wayne Gacy. Anyone else arrested? Already casting doubt. But that shows he's very strategic, in my opinion, or he had help. For me, why do I think that he could have had help? It's simply because, where's this thing? Because of the car arriving, the Elantra, driving around and around and around. It sounds like a freaking drop-off and a pickup situation, in my opinion. If Brian is driving that Elantra, for instance, and the Elantra is doing 3 loops, okay? Wow, someone could have already been in the house, you know what I mean? Audie says, I'm so confused. Email sent. Oh, no, I've got it. Thank you so much, Tom. I got it. I just don't show it. I don't want to dox anyone or show the family or anything, but I've got it. Thank you so much. So remember, why are we discussing this? Because I think the defense is not as weak as people think it is. People are like, this is a slam dunk. No, I really don't think it is a slam dunk. I'm very worried about the outcome of this case. I'm glad they've got a suspect and everything. Okay, they've charged him. He's had the hearing, but I'm like, I don't know if it's a slam dunk, and I know we can't just base that on this probable cause affidavit, because this probable cause affidavit is only enough to get him arrested. But there's 2 things. Number one, the fact that they say suspect vehicle 1 instead of, just suspect vehicle 1. Then the second thing would be the time frame. Xana receives a DoorDash at the residence at 4 a.m. This whole account of DM, all the things that she saw and heard, there's Kaylee playing with the dog, and then there's like, okay, what's that noise? And then there's crying and all of this. I mean, all of that within 16 minutes, all of that. Algo says, I don't think there is reasonable doubt in this case yet. Yet. So they say the Elantra arrives. So Xana's obviously on the phone at 4:12 a.m. The Elantra arrives in the area at 4:04 a.m. They say they believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m., right? And here they say suspect vehicle 1. 3:26, driving around. On the video, it appears that suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate, okay? There's multiple sightings of this vehicle, which could actually include that video seen from the gas station, because people are still asking about that. And most people are saying, no, but it couldn't have been him because he was speeding away at 420, so it's not him. It could be. It still could be. And he still could have operated alone. However, going around and around through the area like that, passing by the house and doing all this, and on the 4th time doing that 3-point turn. Wow, that's a lot of, it's just like, put yourself in the car, right? You driving the Elantra, for example. You enter the area for the 4th time at 4:04 a.m. Then you're going to drive. Okay, wait. We've got to bring out the maps again. We're going to King Road. Okay, so you enter the area at 4:04 a.m. Then you're going to drive this way. Go all like this. Do a loop. Go back this way. Now, this is still 4:04. You enter the area, right? But now you're going this way. Then you do a 3-point turn. Okay, and you're going back here. Now you're going to turn. Now, how many minutes do you think that would take? I mean, in my opinion, it's at least 2, right? 2 to 3 minutes. So that's like 4:07 a.m. 4:07 a.m. And the car's already speeding off at 4:20. So you're telling me that this one person, and it is possible, but damn, it's tight, went, parked the car, snuck into the house, with people awake, because Xana was still on her phone, snuck into the house, went upstairs, murdered 2 people, then went downstairs, murdered 2 more people, and left all within like 13 minutes? Whoa, that's what that the Elantra going round and round, the fact that they say suspect vehicle 1, all got me thinking. And of course, the fact that even though it might not be related, the fact that the SWAT team situation at these coffee house apartments and the search warrant at Steptoe Apartments sealed. That's sealed. That's still being investigated. It's just interesting. And as I say, what made it more interesting to me is an even deeper dive into where does that guy live? Where's he from? Oh, he's from Portland, Oregon. Interesting. And his whole family is in Lewiston. Interesting. And he's also got family in Colorado. Wow, that's interesting. I mean, how many things could I write down that's interesting without talking about it with you guys? You know, I'm generally incredibly conservative on my channel, but I thought, let's talk about this one, right? So where's that obituary? Wait for it. This one. Okay, so this is the other guy, Brent Lee Kopacka. They say, it is with great sadness that our beloved son, Brent Lee Kopacka, went to heaven on December 15th, 2022, as a result of a traumatic brain injury sustained in combat in Afghanistan, which led to a 16-year ongoing battle with severe PTSD. Brent was born October 4th, 1986, survived by mother. Now, I'm not going to say all the names in case you guys are all, I don't know, people on the internet, but like, yeah, let's go after them. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Thank you, Pernille. Yes, Pale Fox says there was no proof he said anything when he was arrested. That's a rumor. That is also speculation and a rumor. I trust Brian Enton more than the average reporter, though, right? Okay. But again, sorry, I'm going to continue reading this in a moment. Even DM, everything that she heard, saw, how many times she got up? 3 times. Wow, in like 13 minutes. Damn, it's just a tight timeline. You know what I mean? The timeline is very tight. So that's what gets me thinking. Now, I'm not here saying definitely. No, I'm just talking to you about this, right? So Brent was born October 4th, 1986. He proudly served in the U.S. Army from 2005 to 2009 in the 2nd Battalion, 508th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 82nd Airborne Division. Brent was awarded the Purple Heart for his service in operating enduring freedom in Afghanistan. By volunteering to serve in the United States Army during time of war, Brent proved himself to not only be a man of great dedication, but also a selfless servant of the people of our nation. Brent epitomized the values and standards that all paratroopers strive to achieve. His valor in the face of the enemy is a great credit to his character. Those who knew Brent knew him as a loving, caring, and very loyal friend. He was loved by his family and friends. Brent always enjoyed remembering people on their birthdays and special occasions. He enjoyed the outdoors. He would send pictures and updates to friends and loved ones of new places and new adventures that he was on. He loved to experience new places, so it was hard for him to settle in one place. He made friends everywhere he went while always staying in touch with the old. Over the course of the past 16 years, he fought a courageous battle against PTSD, but in the end, he couldn't break free. Please learn all you can about post-traumatic stress disorder so you will have an understanding of the toll it takes on our veterans, their families, and their friends. Make sure your loved ones seek the help they need. Adam's lost house. Can you just quickly catch me up? I'll just start over just quickly. Thank you so much. So what am I saying? They are admitting that his mental health was fragile. Could someone like Bryan Kohberger take advantage of this guy, befriend this guy? Sure. Could he influence him? Maybe. You know what I mean? We just don't know. We just don't know. I'm just worried about the defense, right? BCK has let discovery unfold before they can blame anyone else. This case might get very Western when discovery is released, right? Thank you, Tom. So then there's also this where they say, I mean, never mind this. Idaho murder suspect felt no emotion and little remorse as a teen. Remember the whole visual snow thing? We'll do a members only and patrons only stream very soon in the next 2 days or so. So make sure you look at the community tab and your Patreon inbox, because I want to go over the whole visual snow board and I want to work on everything I'm sharing here. You know, we want to talk more about it, right? So John Kelly and his team are busy creating an incredible episode today on a topic that I can't wait to see. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, But it's kind of going along the lines of, what I was speculating of. What if this guy felt nothing, like you said, depersonalization, derealization. There's the visual snow, which one of the psychologists in a recent interview said could be like a dissociative type of disorder as well. Okay, so what if some people kill to feel alive, to feel something, or maybe they want to watch someone study them going through a process. You know what I mean? One thing says Robin, if any connections between Bryan and Brent, the police and FBI will have all cell phone communication records. Also, what was Brent's major? Same question. I asked too. He was apparently just living there and I believe working there. I don't know if he was studying there. Okay, so we've got the SWAT team situation down. So here's his Facebook as well. I'll show you quickly this. This was posted on December 6th. And here he said, I see you too. So, wow, people are on Facebook, people are really analyzing what's happening here. What's happening here? I don't know what's happening there. But could it be this? This room? I don't know. They say Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger's grad program had access to a crime lab with camera streams inside her. Now, Fox News' Michael Ruiz has since reported this writer right here on Twitter that Bryan Kohberger was not involved in this program. He didn't have access to this program. But did he have a friend who did? We don't know. And was someone who doesn't really seem to respect boundaries, not even when driving too close and things like that. You just don't know. Like, did he get inside this building? He could be quite manipulative from all we know. So they say Pullman, Washington. Bryan Kohberger's doctoral program at Washington State University maintains access to a crime lab database of police body cam videos, as well as live streams from security cameras on and off campus. Okay. The programs are referenced on the school's public website and are used to study policing and the complex social interactions between patrol officers and the people that they encounter, as well as other government functions. Now, remember that Kohberger, in the fall of 2022, offered to help the Pullman Police Department with data collection. You see what I mean? I feel like he wanted a foot in that door. It's in the evidence. Says my mind is blown. I need a wall map, pins, and string. There could have been a driver and a killer. I think the killer was in the closet. That's what I'm not thinking exactly that, but similar. Yes, I'm thinking this whole Elantra going round and round and round. Oh, he's entering the area. 404 park. I don't know. Wait for someone and speed off. You know what I mean? Is there a getaway car? Is someone else in the house? Who's driving the car? We don't know. Maybe someone else is driving the car and Kohberger is in the house, or the other way around. And just based on everything. Okay, moving on. So they say, but yes, today I feel like I also need like the map and the strings and the everything on the wall. Yes, I pretty much have that. It's just in my mind and on my notebooks here. So think about this. That Brent Kopacka was apparently a security guard at WSU. Would a security guard have access to stuff like this? Maybe. But then there's also the speculation from someone that knew him that says that he worked in IT at WSU. And I'm like, oh man, like it's just getting like even more interesting. So they say, okay, the doctoral program maintains access to a crime lab database of police body cam videos. Oh, really? Maybe like these? I know this is in Moscow, but you know what I mean? Do they have Moscow, Idaho stuff on there too? Can they access these too? Were they watching the house and already seeing, this little house, not little house, this house, sizable house, is quite desensitized because the police are there quite a lot, noise complaints and all that. They're watching. Maybe they lock onto victims that they want to target, Oh, by the way, this is what I just uploaded before we went live, okay? I've got all the body cam, which the docket helped me get. We've been working very hard behind the scenes to get that to you so you can watch it all in chronological order, just the whole thing, okay? And that was from August and September. So could he have been watching from then? And then he was there 12 times leading up to the murders? Wow. Based on phone records. Oh, now what inspired him? Why that house? Why from Pullman, Washington to this house? Why? You see what I'm saying? Okay, AV says nobody's been able to answer so far. How DM heard the dog, someone talking, sir, but could not hear 4 people getting brutally stabbed. Impossible, in my opinion. By the way, loved Mr. Grizzly's flights. Nice, yeah. You say more. He's doing another one later, right? I think in the next little bit, yeah. Tom says military issued knife sheath. Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, Swiss Miss. Okay. So you see what I mean? If this program is watching cameras like this, could Bryan have been watching this? Could he have made a friend that watches this? So they say the programs are referenced on the school's public website and are used to study policing and the complex social interactions between patrol officers and the people that they encounter, as well as other government functions. The source, who works for the university and has direct knowledge of the department, is warning that the research tools in the wrong hands could have allowed a suspected killer to view unredacted crime scene images, potential videos of death, and even live streams of surveillance cameras with remote controls that allow the viewer to zoom in on faces. The university told Fox News Digital Friday evening that Kohberger was not part of the program. So it's very important to look at that sentence. And they say here, Kohberger was not part of the program. Okay. However, did he have a friend who was part of the program, or did he manipulate his way into the program? I wouldn't put it past him if he's one of two recommended for the PhD program. You know, they say, I don't think that any amount of positive research that has come out of this department is worth the risks of letting a wolf in the hen house, the insider said. They are all obsessed with crime and criminals. You'd have to be a PhD in criminology, but sometimes that obsession goes to another level and attracts this kind of madness. WSU's Complex Social Interaction Lab, CSI Lab, and the Division of Governmental Studies and Services are research entities on campus. The DGSS recently unveiled a report after examining 5 years of data on Washington state police stops for evidence of bias. The results were mixed. But alarming, according to the source, is the DGSS's access to live streams of security cameras around Pullman. One example, taken from the command center, shows multiple screens of live feeds, including one of a person in a car in a restaurant parking lot near Greek Row. You see what I'm saying? Algo says we have no evidence that their house was a drug house. Please refrain from stating that as fact. Yes, I agree, Algo. We do not know that their house was a drug house. Are people saying that? And then Rongo says, does this guy have any social media currently open? Law enforcement usually shut down. Yes, he does have this one. His LinkedIn was deleted, just like Kaylee's. I'm just going to say. LinkedIn is no longer there, but the Facebook is there. Sandy says the affidavit is very vague. Could BK have actually saw, spoke, and threatened DM? He did return later. That would explain her waiting. He could have. Caroline says DNA at the scene was tied to Bryan, right? Yes. Single source DNA was tied to Bryan Kohberger by looking at the trash in Pennsylvania, matching that to his dad, and then, of course, by the way, for anyone's like, oh my word, was his dad involved? No, that's not what that means. His DNA, the DNA on the knife sheath, they were able to match through genealogy to his dad to then arrest him. That's how they got the search warrant, right? The probable cause for arrest and all that. And they went in and arrested him, charged him with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary. And now they would have his DNA, can now make all the matches that they need, right? So the case could get even stronger for the prosecution. Of course, that's possible. I just don't want anyone to think that this is a slam dunk. This is like so, like he's done. Because like, be careful. We got to be careful with that. It might not be such a slam dunk. I see there's some legal experts coming forward saying the same. I'm very excited to talk to the lawyer you know on Tuesday, right here on Grizzly True Crime. And you guys, please do send me questions on email if you want me to ask him, or in the chat. Be there in the chat, okay? So that you can also ask, like, let's ask legal questions, all the questions we have. An officer with Moscow PD was relieved of duty for reviewing body cam with logging. Please verify. That I do not know. Thank you so much, Jinxie. So then they say more than 5 police departments share body cam video. See, 5 police departments. I mean, Moscow's so close, within 10 miles, right? With the CSI lab database, according to the university. One of them is the Pullman Police Department, according to the source, who could not confirm the additional agencies. Students can apply for access to the CSI lab online by filling out a brief questionnaire. The CSI computers are located in the same building and on the same floor as the graduate officers, according to the insider, who pointed the locations out on a map. The body cam terminals are separated from the department's main conference room by a soundproofed wall and communicate with the internet only through limited pathways. And who has studies in cloud-based forensics? This guy right here. It's unclear whether Kohberger had attempted this process, but the university vehemently denied that he was allowed into the CSI lab. But did he gain access to their footage? That we don't know either. Phil Weiler, WSU's Vice President of Marketing and Communications, told Fox News Digital Friday evening that Kohberger never obtained entry into the programs. What I still find interesting to this day is that Olivia Goncalves, Kaylee's sister, said Kaylee's LinkedIn account was deleted, and she doesn't know why. The FBI says it's not them. LinkedIn says it's not them. So who deleted Kaylee's LinkedIn account? Because it showed she was online on November the 13th in the evening after the murders. And then poof, gone. Very interesting. And this Kopacka guy, his LinkedIn also deleted. Interesting. Okay, so to be clear, Bryan Kohberger never had access to any footage from the complex social interaction lab at Washington State University, he said. Access to that facility is strictly controlled. All research assistants must complete a background check, an FBI Criminal Justice Information Services Level 2 certification, be fingerprinted by the FBI, and sign a confidentiality agreement in order to enter the facility. Additionally, he said the DGSS's closed-circuit TV internship program has been closed since the start of the Rona era in 2020. Access to the facility is tracked through a key card, or through key card records, Weiler said, and student employees did not have access to raw data or personally identifying information in the WSP study. The insider, however, claimed to have direct knowledge of multiple individuals who have not gone through the vetting or training to enter the facility and work as part of their duties, including our technical support staff. Moscow police told Fox News Digital that the department does not share its body cam archive or any live security streams with the researchers at WSU. Public records show that MPD officers visited the victim's home at least 3 times during the same semester as Kohberger was attending WSU, resulting in the creation of several body cam and dash cam videos showing interactions with the victims. And at least 2 of the victims were seen on a public Twitch stream ordering food on their way home just hours before the murders. Pullman, Washington, and Moscow, Idaho are about 10 miles apart. The WSU CSI lab program has researched police use of force and other analytics gathered from tens of thousands of hours of body cam video. The insider also sees a problem in the advanced study of crime for academia's sake. I've always been skeptical of the research this department has done, especially the folks that don't go on to solve real-world crime in law enforcement, but stick around in academia and live and breathe this stuff on taxpayer dollars, the insider said. And what does it really amount to? Basically just neutering police more and more every day. It's just sickening after all this. If Kohberger, who is his high school, If Kohberger, who in his high school yearbook indicated a desire to join law enforcement, he wanted to be an Army Ranger, you guys, still intended to do so, and yes, in the fall of 2022, he wanted to work at the Pullman PD. It's unclear when he planned to start. After obtaining a master's in criminal justice from DeSales University last year, the 28-year-old applied to the PhD program in Washington. And why Washington? I wonder. I really wonder why Washington. And that's what also gets me speculating of like, what if someone answered his questionnaire and that someone was in Pullman, Washington, and he's like, aha, I'm going to go there and really get close to this person who answered my questionnaire and really study their mind, see what they're capable of type thing. You just don't know. Speculation. After getting clean, he spent the past several years surrounding himself with experts on the macabre. While at DeSales University, Kohberger studied under an expert on serial killers, Dr. Catherine Ramsland, who co-wrote a book with the BTK killer, Dennis Rader. Rader killed 10 people between 1974 and 1991. And at WSU, he studied under Dr. Melanie Angela Newley, who in her CV described herself as specializing in homicide, violent deaths, and violence as a public health concern, among other topics. Kohberger in recent months applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department, according to an affidavit in support of the warrant for his arrest on 4 first-degree murder charges and a count of burglary for allegedly entering a home with the intent to kill. Kohberger wrote in his essay he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. I find that interesting. So let's say he didn't get access to those. He's like, I'll help you. Maybe that's how he wanted to get access to that. But yeah, I don't know if they even got back to him. The CSI lab aims to, among other things, use software to analyze police footage and give results and guidance to better police departments, while providing hands-on experience in complex social interactions for WSU students. Joseph Giacalone, an adjunct professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York, and a retired NYPD sergeant, told Fox News Digital Friday that programs like the CSI Lab support legitimate research and foster relationships between students and the law enforcement community. Now, this is all a mouthful, you guys. Did he have help? Asked public art critic. We're speculating. Did he? Did he? Yeah. Pirate says, yeah, I'd like to give rural law enforcement some cases to work on. That's what I'm asking, Jackie. Could this other guy have answered BK's questionnaire? Just saying. He could have. Danielle, thank you. Say LinkedIn, isn't that for resumes? Pretty much, but it's for much more as well. I also have a LinkedIn if you're on there. Okay, Tom says, on his background, it says Brent, was roommates with Chris, and Chris was one of the names that was floating around before the arrest. Holy moly. I know, right? When you start digging, it starts getting very interesting. It's in the evidence, says, I need more printer paper. He was in the house, killed upstairs before the DoorDash. There goes my sleep once again. Love your channel. Thank you. That's what I'm thinking. Well, someone was in the house because someone else was driving an Elantra in my little theory here. Because the Elantra is going round and round. And only entering for the 4th time at 4:04. You know what I mean? It's like a bit of a drop off and then like, let's drive around for a while and then pick up the person when they're done type thing, you know? Yes, Liz says we are not giving him a title. It's just easier to type BK. And both that we're talking about today have the initials BK. Interesting, right? Burger boy. Okay. Amy K says, I emailed you a video. Okay, well, here it is. We've got everything for you right here. Xana talking to the cops. This is the video I posted today, you guys. The dockets and I have been working very hard to get this all to you. It's all timestamped for you as well. And I'm assuming you're talking about this right here. The cops talking to Xana. If you guys haven't seen this, check it out. Here's the cops talking to Xana. We've shown it on the channel before with clips and things, but I just find there's like clips everywhere now. There's all different channels with all kinds of clips, and you know, this is going to be, you can watch this uninterrupted, all the noise complaint body cam videos from 8 different angles from August to September. The 3 noise complaints. Tom says, was Brent an Uber Eats driver? I don't know. Was he a DoorDash driver? Right. I think Tom's starting to think like what I'm thinking. Could he have been though? Okay. They say we've had nurses that have gone on to become serial killers and using the knowledge that they gained in nursing school to do it, he said. The overwhelming majority of the individuals that take these classes intend to do good with it. Yes. Like the overwhelming majority with a degree in criminal justice and then going on to do, you know, to continue with a PhD would likely not be suspected of murdering 4 people. But yes, I find this all very interesting. Oh yeah, I was looking at the single source DNA because they talked about this on the probable cause affidavit. There's a single source DNA, you know, single source DNA on the snap, the belt snap, the button snap thing of the knife sheath, right? So I'm like, well, what is single source? What do they mean? So there's a whole thing here that says the single source DNA profiles should have a maximum of 2, I don't know how to say that, alleles. I'm probably saying it all wrong. Those per marker, okay? And they say, sounds simple, right? Well, in general, this should be easy, but the analysts don't have the luxury of knowing the origin of a casework sample. And even if they do, the sample can still contain biological material from more than one individual. Looking at the DNA profile above, we can say that's a male, Y-peak in the AM marker, single source DNA profile. But my point here was single source DNA is what they found on that snap, right? Which could be actually on the inside of it and touching the leather and all that, or the pleather, or whatever it is. But could it contain more DNA? Yeah, It really could. It could contain more DNA. And then they talk about the search warrant that they don't want to unseal for, Kohberger's apartment, and they're like, oh no, that's imminent threats to society or whatever, to the community. And I'm like, why? Like, what did they find in there? Talks to Animal says, I think BCK kept the knife as a trophy, but hid it so that he could access it later and or use it again. I wouldn't disagree. That would be quite plausible, yes. Thank you, Didi. So I hope you guys are following all this. I feel like that person, with the strings and the maps and I hope you're following the thought process here today. Oh yeah, let me show you this as well, just to remind you why we even went this way. And then I want to read you these two things quickly of this SWAT team situation. SWAT team member who fired fatal shot during Pullman standoff identified. So they identified who actually fired the shot and how it happened and all of that. But why I found it so interesting is that this happened in the early morning hours of December 15th. And then amazingly, Kohberger and his dad were driving, and when they were stopped twice, they have to mention it twice. I mean, there's no reason to talk about that. To just be like, hey, what's up? Yeah, we're getting McDonald's. Okay, actually, they were talking about Thai food or whatever, but we're just driving. Yeah, why did they have to bring that up? It's interesting. Thank you, J-Do. Great perspective today, G. We do need to keep an open mind and consider the possibilities of many other scenarios in this case. I agree. We need to keep an open mind, especially it's so simple and it might just be legal talk, but man, when they talk about suspect vehicle 1. Oh, why are you numbering them? Where's vehicle 2? Where's vehicle 2? Oh, wait, I was going to show you this. Sorry. Why is this video struggling? Okay, wait, we're going to see it now. Just hold on one second. So Z said, sorry, Z, I missed your super chat earlier. You said asking her to check out Andrea Burkhardt. She's a public criminal defense attorney. Yes, I know her very well. I watch her stuff a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dang. Sorry, this video is struggling.
He's right up on that van, man. You right up on the back end of that van. Pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay. Cool. Where are you headed?
We're going to actually Madison side. Well, we're coming from WSU, and we're standing early.
What's WSU?
I go to university basically. It was an incident that was occurring with the shooting incident. That is SWAT team and everything.
Sorry, that's all out of sync. I think this video is huge, and StreamYard is like, I don't know, man, if I can do it. But it's like we're coming from WSU. It's like, what's WSU? Like, oh, Washington State University. There was a shooting around there. Yeah. Like, what? Why you got to bring that up?
So I'm having a hard time hearing you because of the traffic. So you're coming from Washington State University?
Yeah.
And you're going where? Oh.
We're going to be going to Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we're slightly punchy because we're driving for hours.
Hours, days.
They're slightly punchy. We're slightly punchy because I'm driving for hours. And he says hours or days. He says hours and hours.
Hours to drive. Well,
Yeah.
almost a day.
Okay. And what did you say about some SWAT team thing? Or
Yeah,
something?
there was a mass shooting and everything. We don't know if it was a mass
Where?
shooting. This was essentially what ended up happening was
Interesting.
well, it's horrifying because he's going to university, you know what I mean?
So y'all work at the university there?
I actually do work there.
Oh.
You know, there when he's like, I actually do work over there. Almost like he really didn't want to say that. Yeah, I actually do work over there. It's not just some random WSU and there was like some shooting. They were coming from that direction. He's like, okay, I actually do work over there. Wow. And yes, I'm not blaming this dad at all. I'm looking at Bryan Kohberger here, and I'm just looking at them bringing up. He could have told his dad, "Yeah, I gotta get out of here now. Like we gotta go because there was a shooting here." You know, that could be what's stuck in his mind. Why it's so serious to now like just keep driving. You know, because the shooting happened and it's a dangerous situation and all that. Okay, Lark says, I think BK acted alone, incapable of forming meaningful relationships. Doubt he would trust anyone with these crimes. Well, the thing is, the Tinder dates already, as creepy as he was on the dates, he went on dates. And then there's that guy. Remember the guy that went running with him? Do you remember that friend that used to go running with him at night? He made bonds. He had friends. We just only starting to learn about it. Right? So I hear you. I'm just like, I think there's so much more to unpack with this guy than we can possibly imagine. I think we're going to learn so much more over the months and I don't know, years that it will take to actually get to trial, if it does. You know what I mean? Because it's a long process. It's not like, oh, okay, just like June hearing, okay, trial, July. It always takes longer. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard about that incident. Just yesterday, or?
This happened this morning. About an hour and a half ago. We're still wrapping it up. We're investigating. I'm not sure there's two shooters because they did shoot somebody.
I see.
And then you don't know about that actually. They were there. They were shooting out of the window or something.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. So do me a favor, don't follow too close, okay?
Oh.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Make that small talk about the WSU shooting, right? Twice in this footage and the next one. Like, it's just so weird that, you know, Kohberger is just like, Bryan Kohberger is just like, yeah, that's it. Focus on that. Great deflection, you know? Very interesting. We go forward more. Here we go.
Okay. What happened at WSU when my son goes to school shooting today? Well, I'm not going to give you guys another ticket or warning if you just got stopped. Just make sure you give yourself plenty of room, okay? So like I said, it's all about how fast you're going, okay? So if you're going 10 miles an hour, you only need one car. Or if you're going
So the point of showing you that one, this is the second clip, and they also brought it up there. So with two police officers, and this was not just an ordinary traffic stop. The FBI said they didn't order it, but it was actually part of the plan of everybody working the case to stop them. From what I've read, right? The FBI said, no, we didn't order that. But apparently it was organized. And they stopped him twice. They wanted to check his hands for injuries. They wanted to talk to him, see what he says, whatever, as a suspect in this white Elantra. Even that, the fact that this white Elantra, Bryan, who studied criminal justice and he's a PhD student, I just think there's so much more to this case. The fact that he is driving around and around and around in the area, and then he goes for the fourth time to the house, and then he's in and out from 4:04 to 4:20. Damn, that's quick. That's quick. And my point is, and even after all that, you do that long drive, you go back home, and you just leave the car parked there. The car is just parked there the entire time. The number plates get changed November 30th to Washington plates, right? Okay. But that's just weird. That is just like a true crime no-no. But I still ask, is this guy a dumbass or a genius? Or something in between? But I just don't underestimate him. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people are underestimating Bryan Kohberger. I don't underestimate this guy. Not from all his studies, everyone he studied under, all his fantasies, all his obsessions, everything. Ooh, I don't know if I underestimate this guy. Yes. Okay. So let's take that off. We're almost done. I just quickly want to show you this one. where this is a shorter version to this New York Post one. I think New York Times. Wait, where's this one? Yeah. Okay, so here they say Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger said he had no emotion and could do whatever I want with little remorse in old forum posts. In a series of old forum posts, that's from the Tapa Talk one, right? We've looked at it briefly before, and I'll do a member stream where we can deep dive that and talk all about it. We might even get snarky about it, who knows? So make sure you check the community tab, right? In a series of old forum posts, the Idaho killing suspect said that he didn't feel emotion and could do whatever I want with little remorse. In the post written on the site Tapa Talk in 2011, it's between 2009 and 2011, Bryan Kohberger described struggling with his mental health as well as a rare neurological condition called visual snow. Kohberger posted under an alias but included several references that matched details of his life. The New York Times reported on the post on Friday, which said that it had verified. I always feel as if I am not there, completely depersonalized, he wrote in one post reviewed by The Insider. Mentally, I experience fog, lack of comprehension, at sometimes depression, suicide. I felt no emotion, and along with the depersonalization, I can say and do whatever I want with little remorse, he added. Everyone hates me pretty much. I'm an asshole. Okay, feeling very numb there. So remember, when I say he may have been so, I would say numb, that he may have speculatively, if he'd committed the murders, killed to feel alive. That's not because he's incapable of feeling anything, in my opinion. He's got so much suppressed rage and emotion and all kinds of stuff. Is what it seems like from everything I've read about him. It's like all bottled up, right? He tried to numb himself, possibly, speculatively, based on people coming forward that knew him, with heroin, and then may have switched to something else. He just seemed to be struggling with his mental health. Coffee Cake, if you look at the top right, it says the exact time. I think it was around 3:30 in the afternoon. Thank you so much. Yes. Smith says, I, Smith, never underestimate a manipulator. Yeah, I'm just not underestimating this guy. That's the thing. Gee, you wondered about this very comment days ago. Exactly, I did. Thank you. All right. So they say, in another post, Kohberger wrote about his depersonalization made him feel like life wasn't real. As I hug my family, I look into their faces, I see nothing. It's like I'm looking at a video game, but less. I feel less than mentally damaged. It's like I have severe brain damage. Damn. Kohberger was arrested earlier this month on first-degree murder charges in the deaths of 4 University of Idaho students. He was also charged with 1 count of burglary. Okay. Let's just go here. They say, I know it was something that really bugged him. Thomas Arns told the Times. He was basically to the point where he was neurotic about it. People with visual snow syndrome, which was first recognized by doctors in 1995, continuously see tiny snow-like flecks in their vision. That static-like vision, which remains even with their eyes closed, can be debilitating to some, affecting their capacity to think. I feel less than mentally damaged. It's like I have severe brain damage, he wrote. I might spiral out of control and lose myself in this void. I can't let it all go. He added, I remember when I was 15, I would wander alone at 2 a.m. Everything was so generic. Nowhere felt like home. I saw things that were not there, a different reality. I felt eerie and alone. I died during those nights. I felt like a criminal, but where was my record? Now, if you're struggling with your identity, if you have this depersonalization or derealization, and you're looking for an anchor to prove to yourself who you are, that's what he's saying there. I felt like a criminal, but where was my record? Okay, well, even that, is that a motive? Did he create a record for himself? Like, okay, finally now I feel like myself, or I feel like I exist, or you know what I mean? Maybe that this is the way he can then see himself. Like, okay, this makes sense now. I'm right on track to this, so this is what I shall be. Right? Okay, let's see. So Woodhound said, did BK receive a paycheck from the university? If not, he lied to the officer about working at the university. Ooh, that's a good point. I don't think he actually received a paycheck from what I know. But this again, I don't know if he actually did work a little bit part-time there as well as a security guard, if he worked anyway. I think he was just there as a PhD student. So yes, that's very good point, Woodhound. Then he lied to the officer about working at the university. Wow. And the Chick Antique says, yes, I was a TA during my graduate studies and received a measly, $4,500 per semester. $4,500 per semester. So technically, BK was an employee. Oh, yeah, he was a TA, a teacher's assistant. True, true, true. Good point, good point. He was a TA grading all those papers very harshly. And then the next minute, everyone got hundreds. Remember that? Wow. Okay, so now let's do this one quickly where they say, this is from the New York Times, okay? A criminology PhD student charged with stabbing 4 University of Idaho students to death had written years ago of having suicidal thoughts, not being able to feel emotions, and observing his own life as if it were a video game, saying he could do whatever I want with little remorse. Yeah, so he seems to be dissociated from himself. As they say, depersonalization, derealization, he's struggling with that, right? Feeling like he's living a life that's not even his own. The new revelations about the suspect, Bryan Kohberger, come from posts that he made in an online forum in which he discussed his mental health struggles, as well as from interviews with those who knew him and messages that he sent to friends that were obtained by the New York Times. They paint a portrait of an anxious, isolated, and depressed teenager who turned to heroin use before eventually getting clean and becoming fascinated with studying criminal psychology. So loosely, I'll say, did he become addicted to studying criminals? You know what I mean? Wow, just from one obsession to the next in a way. Saying that he hoped to one day provide counseling for high-profile criminals. So he feels a strong connection to high-profile criminals, feeling like them, like he can relate to them very strongly, right? I feel like an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. He wrote in 2011 when he was 16, adding later in the same post, as I hug my family, I look into their faces, I see nothing. It's like I'm looking at a video game, but less. Now Mr. Kohberger, 28, is facing murder charges, accused of sneaking into a home shared by students just off the university campus in Moscow, Idaho, and stabbing 4 of them to death in the middle of the night. At the time of the killings, Mr. Kohberger was in the first semester of his PhD program at Washington State University, a 15-minute drive from the crime scene. He has maintained his innocence through his lawyer. Has he, though? Eager to be exonerated. Okay, no, that's true. Vanderchimp, sack of vegan meat. An organic sack of vegan meat. Heidi's like, organic? And Vanderchimp's like, sack of vegan meat? Yeah. Okay, so a judge set a June date for the hearing when prosecutors will outline evidence in an attempt to prove that they have probable cause to try him on murder charges. All right, so the police have disclosed some of the evidence, of course, where he's arrested at his parents' home in the Poconos Mountains in Pennsylvania, saying they had relied on DNA from a knife sheath left on a bed with 2 other victims. I mean, there's so much one can speculate about that. To me, it's just, for me, the less likely option is a mistake. It's either he planted it there or, left it there on purpose so that he can finally just feel like himself, if this is how he sees himself. You know? Again, I'm speculating. I'm sharing a lot of my opinion today, huh? You guys are not used to me sharing a lot of my opinion like this, huh? Unless you're a member, of course, or Patreon. There I'm like, guess what, guys? Yes. Luna says, I wonder what medications he had been on while an adolescent and currently. Those psych meds can wreak havoc on a person's brain. He did actually say, he does name the medications in these visual snow posts. I just can't remember what exactly they're called right now. But they are there, and we'll look at it. Yes, Vanderchimp. Speculation time. I have listened to half of this. I'm going to listen to the other half later. WSU mom called in and said what was really going on in those 2 towns. Very interesting. So they say, it's wild, said Jack Bayless, a Pennsylvania friend of Mr. Kohberger's, who is among those trying to understand how Mr. Kohberger came to be charged with such a heinous killing. Bryan himself would have been fascinated by it. Fantasy kill, huh? If it is. Fantasizing about being like one of those that he resonates with, in my opinion. In online posts, okay, dating from when he was a teenager, he berates himself and talks about feeling disconnected from society, unable to find meaning in life. He describes an array of mental health challenges, including anxiety, depression, depersonalization, lack of emotion, and the constant thought of suicide. Now, remember, we can empathize with a teenage Bryan Kohberger. We can empathize with this guy right here struggling with all this. But if someone takes all that and then murders others, no. That's when the empathy, we got to draw a line. Got to draw a line. Otherwise, you go into your own mental disorder known as hybristophilia. You know, when you're like, oh, shame, like, oh no, I feel so sorry for him. I have so many emotions for him, all of this kind of stuff. Well, usually hybristophilia is an attraction to, right? I think. But the point is, no, I have empathy on the teenage Bryan. I have a lot of empathy for everything he's describing in the visual snow post. But what one chooses to do with that, and all of us in true crime, I feel like we can agree we've been through some stuff, you know? So what are you going to do with your trauma? This is why. My quote is, don't waste your resilience, okay? If you've been through a lot, it means you have a lot of resilience. Don't be a victim your whole life. Be resilient. And what are you going to do with it? And depending on what you do with it, that's where the empathy stays or ends, right? So yes, Tupper Talk, we got that with the visual snow. Mr. Kohberger did not use his name on the website, but the post included a reference to his birthday and in addition, the username XR, which is also his rap name, by the way. Remember the rap song we listened to at the beginning of this episode? Yeah. It's also called XR, I believe. Whether it's the song or the rap name or whatever it is, it's XR as well. Okay. So friends have previously described Mr. Kohberger as having an intellectual bent, but said that he occasionally turned cruel and angry. At Washington State, his peers said he ranked some people with the habit of over-explaining and sounded particularly condescending when he spoke to his female classmates. Of course, he was bullied as a kid, apparently, about his weight, and girls threw things at him. That's terrible. Bullying is terrible. And it can have a detrimental effect on people's mental health and on society. Bullying is not okay. You know what else is not okay? Killing, though. Don't do that. Grateful Knitters says he's a smart dummy, book smart, but his compulsion or ego got the best of him. He was caught. His need to know, as FBI put it, when waiving extradition says a lot. Good point. Could be. Yes, Katie, we're going to need a G&T session on wannabe rappers. He's definitely one of those. Definitely. We should do that, actually. He said, nothing I do is enjoyable. I am blank. I have no opinion. I have no emotion. I have nothing. Can you relate? Well, yeah. Anyone who's experienced depression, suffers from depression and anxiety and all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, we can relate. Still, don't kill anyone. He may not have, though. He's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Mr. Kohberger said that his absence of emotion had begun about the same time as his visual snow symptoms in September 2009. And one friend recalled him constantly talking about his fuzzy vision. I know it was something that really bugged him, said Thomas Arns, who was friends with Mr. Kohberger during high school until they had a falling out. He was basically to the point where he was neurotic about it. Dr. Francesca Pulera, a neurologist and a researcher at King's College in London, who specializes in visual snow, said it is so little understood that there is debate among scientists over whether to call it a disease. But Dr. Pulera had worked with people who find the condition to be debilitating. Welcome to all the new members. Someone says his rap was decent, to be honest. Okay, we still don't know what causes it. She said, we simply have to do more research. Dr. Pulera said that the presence of visual snow is not a sign of mental illness, but noted that one research team found that people who have the syndrome also report a high incidence of psychiatric issues such as anxiety, depression, and depersonalization. Interesting. Mr. Kohberger wrote that he had tried anti-migraine medication, visited a neurologist, and gone on a strict diet, one that avoided sugar and starch. And not just vegan, he also avoided sugar and starch to try to resolve the vision problem. He wouldn't eat any bread, and he would only eat certain fruits, Mr. Arndt recalled. It was very restrictive. By 2012, it appeared that Mr. Kohberger was learning to live with the problem. Sounding more optimistic, he wrote on the forum that he had accepted his ailment and was coming to terms with it. He graduated from high school in 2013, but had also begun to use heroin around that time. His friends said, okay, so he found a different medicine according to the friends. Rich Pasqua, we saw that one, Pasqua, who graduated from high school a few years ahead of Mr. Kohberger, said that they used heroin together in 2013 and 14 at a time when they both worked at a pizza shop called New York Pizza Girl. I was going to say New York Pizza, but okay, New York Pizza girl in Effort, Pennsylvania. Mr. Pasqua, now 31, recalled that Mr. Kohberger was socially awkward and did not appear to have many friends, frequently calling him and offering to share his MJ. Mr. Pasqua, who said he's now sober and working at a rehabilitation center, recalled in one instance driving with Mr. Kohberger through the gated community where Mr. Kohberger's parents lived, trying to evade a private security guard. We would make it to the cul-de-sac and we'd see the orange lights and Bryan would be like, go this way. Mr. Pasqua recalled. He was like, we're going to get in so much trouble. Okay, we're almost there. Mr. Pasqua said his wife, who was in Mr. Kohberger's year, remembered that Mr. Kohberger had been heavier when he was in high school and was bullied over his weight. Mr. Kohberger wrote in the online forum in 2011 of having lost half of his body weight. And Mr. Pasqua recalled teasing him on one occasion as well, telling Mr. Kohberger to walk to the private community's gates in the snow to get some heroin from him, only to not be there when he showed up. Eventually, he said Mr. Kohberger's father would pick up the phone when he called, once saying that his son was on a top secret mission, which Mr. Pasqua realized meant he was in rehab. Years later, Mr. Kohberger appeared to be doing much better, studying psychology at DeSales University in eastern Pennsylvania, and telling one friend that his drug problems were in the past. So the point is, he had friends along the way. It's not like he's completely like like lone wolf. Can't make friends, can't make connections. Sure, there's the one neighbor that's like, oh, he's too chatty. Run for your life. I feel like I'm like that. I'm like, oh no, this person wants to chat. Run for your life. Speed up, quick steps, okay? But he did have friends in the past and at the university, at WSU. He went running with that one guy. Remember? I only used it when I was in a deep suicidal state, Mr. Kohberger wrote. So that would also be to numb the pain, all those emotions. So we don't know what trauma he's been through. We don't know anything about him yet, about his background, his childhood, what he's been through in life. I have since really learned a lot. Not a person alive could convince me to use it. Mr. Kohberger followed up later that day, telling Mr. Bayless that he had been off drugs for 2 years and telling him to not mention his drug use again, according to screenshots of their conversation on Facebook Messenger. He told Mr. Bayless at one point that he thought he'd been depressed since he was 5 years old, for so long that he developed a weird sense of meaning. In one message from October 2018, Mr. Kohberger wrote that he was interested in studying criminals. He said he would like to be involved in capturing violent criminals, but that it could be difficult to get a job like that. I'm thinking more along the lines of dealing with high-profile offenders, he wrote, counseling. Among the details that emerged in a police affidavit last week was that Mr. Kohberger had, last fall, applied for an internship with the police department in Pullman, Washington, where he was living while studying at Washington State. Officials have declined to say whether or not he got the internship. That's the thing. We don't know. Did he get it or not? We don't hear about that. So we assume not, but did he? Or what happened? Okay, so the rest we know there. So, Huda, London, mental health and crime. Nice name, mental health and crime. Says, as a therapist, I believe he was crying out for help. One, I wonder if that was symptoms of antisocial personality disorder. He was suffering of OCD, anxiety, rage, drug addictions, etc. He has no remorse. Thank you for that. Could be. Emmy says the internship was a requirement of the PhD program. Very interesting. Okay, so there's that and there's one more. Where's this one more thing? Hold on. Obviously, you could see there's actually lots more, but let's just focus on the one more. This one. Bryan Kohberger's neighbor reveals last text message that he received from him, and this one is not as interesting because all he said was, "Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family." Okay. That's all. That was just one we haven't heard of before. So after the murders, that's what he texted. Okay, I'm just checking that we've heard all of this. This as well. No one knew of this guy at all. The lawyer for the Idaho murder victims' family say Bryan Kohberger has no connection to any of the 4 students that he's accused of murdering. Well, besides living 10 miles away, being at WSU, being outside the house allegedly 12 times before being there again on November 13th, but no connection. They mean like didn't know them, apparently. Or they did not know him, is how I'd more accurately say it. The lawyer for the family of Kaylee Goncalves says suspect Bryan Kohberger has no connection to any of the 4 students that he's accused of murdering. He's facing the death penalty on 4 counts of first-degree murder. Okay, so this the rest we know, but I just wanted to show you this headline so you know it. So then why? Why does Bryan Kohberger choose this house, these victims? That's still the question. Yes, and look at this guy. He's got a Grizzly shirt on. It's not from me, you guys. It's Vancouver Grizzlies. But everybody in the comments is like, Grizzlies! Yeah, yeah. So let's go here. To the house. There you go. Why? Why does he choose this house? If he did. If he's the guy that did it. Why this house? Why these people? I mean, of course, it's actually an easy house to target based on how dark it is. I really hope they put a street light or street lights in here or something. I told you guys I'm from South Africa. And like, damn, just like put I don't know, just some more security, I'm hoping, going forward, right? If they're going to rent out this house, which is going to be scary. I don't know who's going to live in there. I agree with you guys that they should probably knock it down and build a memorial there or something. But as you saw from this body cam footage, if you haven't yet, please go watch it right after this. I'll put the link in the chat as I say goodbye. You can watch all of this all in one go with no interruptions, all the noise complaints from August and September, which is also around the time, you know, August, September, October. In the fall, he's offering the Pullman PD, you know, he wants to intern with them. I don't know what this guy was doing. But anyway, the point is, it's so easy to access the back there, as you saw with the police. They just like walk in here, okay, walk to the back. Hey, there's a sliding door, knock on the sliding door, all of that. All of that. Okay. Adam's Lost House Cat says, I think he called those. I think he called think those were his noise complaints. Very interesting as well. Imagine that. Imagine if he's the noise complaint caller. My goodness. Also, someone earlier was saying, why is this relevant? Now, at this point, why is this relevant? To me, the reason to still look at this footage is number one, okay, it's just to have it. I made this case file for you. As you know, I like making case files, okay? So we have it in chronological order. If we ever need to refer to it again, it's like making, like I would make files in my office. I make digital files for you guys. Okay, so we have all this body cam footage to see what's the baseline of this house. Who goes there? How many people go in and out of there? And if you do watch these videos, damn, a lot of these kids are wearing Vans. I'm just saying. So what if everybody running through the house before the 911 call is made is making that latent shoe print? It might not be that Bryan Kohberger wears Vans at all. You know what I mean? So maybe the only evidence they have of him being in the house would be, okay, so there's the cell phone records, the Elantra, okay, and then there's the DNA, single source DNA. But like the Van shoe print, I still wonder, were people running around and maybe making that footprint, or what is it? Because so many of these kids, it's a very popular shoe, right? But why do we look at this? Well, for me personally, the probable cause affidavit saying suspect vehicle number 1 means there's a potential that there could at some point be a suspect vehicle number 2. There could be, and if so, then I'm going to still keep this on hand to see, well, what do we see now? Are there more vehicles we should be looking at, or more clues or more things? So it's kind of just pinned there. And I don't want to just keep it in the vault. I want to release it to you guys so you can watch it if you want to. Okay. In the bushes said, didn't they say the shoe print was blood? They said it was a latent shoe print, okay, and meaning it's not visible to the naked eye, but when they used that amino black, then it showed up, which means that it was that trace evidence, I would say, of blood. Yeah, it made a shoe print with blood that wasn't visible to the naked eye and all that. Very interesting, right? The PCA didn't say they were Vans, but he has big feet. They said Vans type shoes. They did say that. They did indeed. Vans type shoes is what they said in brackets somewhere. Yeah. Vans type shoe. Similar to the pattern of a Vans type shoe sole. The Converse shoe is also a very similar sole though. So when they wrote this, it could be a Vans type shoe, but it could also be a Converse type shoe. They didn't say the exact shoe or the size. Yeah. Yes. Kraken Creative Studio says, I swear Kay's family said there was a possible connection after the arrest, but said they weren't ready to release it. Yeah, I did remember that. Yes, they did say that. So maybe now they look more into it and there's no connection? I don't know. Thank you, Jennifer. Diamond pattern on the sole. Yes. Okay. So just remember, everyone, today, what we did today was speculate. We looked at a few rabbit holes. We didn't go too far into them, but we looked at them. I'm not going to stay in them forever, but I wanted to look at them. In my opinion, it would be irresponsible to not look at them at all, to just be like, no, he's the only one. That's it. It's done. Slam dunk. I mean, no, he's like literally innocent till proven guilty. And he's well educated. He could have made mistakes, but I'm like, damn, imagine though, just think of the other possibilities. Imagine if one day there is a suspect vehicle too. Imagine if he really was just the Elantra driver and somebody else did something. Imagine all the other possibilities. Whew. Then your brain goes into overdrive. So yes, I hope it all made sense today. Thank you for being here. I just want to make sure that we've looked at everything one more time. Yes. Oh, let me show you one video quickly, which was this one. Then we're going to go after this.
Standoff in Pullman last week. We are learning more about the man who was killed during a SWAT standoff in Pullman last week. He was a U.S. Army veteran who had been battling PTSD for the past 16 years. Brent Kopacka was shot and killed on December 15th after Pullman police say he barricaded himself in his apartment. Officers first responded to the report of him threatening to kill his roommates. According to his family, Brent was a paratrooper in the U.S. Army and sustained a traumatic brain injury in combat while serving in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan from 2005 to 2009. He was awarded the Purple Heart for his service. His family says those who knew Brent knew him as a loving, caring, and very loyal friend. They add, over the course of the past 16 years, Brent fought a courageous battle against PTSD, but in the end, he couldn't break free. They said, quote, "Please learn all you can about PTSD so you will have an understanding of the toll it takes on our veterans, their families, and their friends. Make sure your loved ones seek the help they need." The veteran.
Okay. So we looked at that. Why? I'm going to do a quick bullet point summary. Why do we even look at the SWAT team situation? It's interesting. It's still being investigated. The guy had PTSD. Could Bryan Kohberger have befriended him, taken advantage of him? Sure. Could he pin it on him? Sure. Could they have both been fantasizing about something like this? Sure. Maybe. That's less likely, but maybe. There's just possibilities there. And then the fact that they live so close to each other, it's on the route, of course, going towards that State Road 270 to 112 to King Road. The guy with the PTSD, the Army veteran dude, which I mean, no disrespect to him or his family at all. I just looked at why would Bryan Kohberger drive to Lewiston? Oh, okay, this guy's whole family lives in Lewiston. All of that. There's just so many connections that I'm like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay, now the last thing I want to do is quickly show you my Twitter, because someone said you can't find me on Twitter. Don't know why. There I am. It's at Grizzly Gizela is my handle. You can find me on Twitter. And also, you could also find the docket on Twitter. The docket hunts down all the documents for us. He's a Grizzly document hunter. So go follow him there. You can see the documents are being shared here. Thank you for sharing that. If we just go down like this, you're going to find all kinds, in many cases as well. So you could follow me, you can follow him there. And then I hope that you will check out the video that I uploaded for you today, which is this one, or the body cam. So let me share it quickly here, copy the link and put it in the chat for you. Thank you, mods. Thank you to all my patrons and members, new subscribers, old subscribers. I'll see you very soon again. Of course, today, that's 2 out of 3 notifications that I get in 24 hours. So I might just see you tomorrow. Let's take this off quickly here. Slow mode's going off. Okay, so you guys can chat away. Okay, so I put that in the chat, right? Got it? And then I'll see you definitely on Tuesday when the Lawyer You Know is going to be on the show. So let me actually make that public for you. 1 second. Make that a public stream. Yes, here we go. This stream will lead you to that stream, okay? Thank you, everyone. And members, patrons, make sure you check your notifications and the community tab, because we're definitely going to chat soon this weekend. Whether it's tomorrow or Monday, we'll chat soon. Okay, everyone. Like the video, share, do all those things. Bye.